Ready Check Radio. What's up, Internet? It's time for the Relic Grind, Final Fantasy XIV Square Enix podcast from Ready Check Radio. That means it must be Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Pretty sweet. If you're listening on Spotify, watching on YouTube, head on over to ReadyCheckRadio.com, RAIDEO.com. I've got all the socials, nice and neat, right in the upper right. You can click on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Spotify, all of them. Follow, subscribe, turn on the notifications, tell your friends. If you like what we do and you want to see more of it, it's the easiest way to support us right now, and it's totally free to do. So I've been putting up some Final Fantasy TCG local games now that we have been able to partake again on the YouTube channel, too. So there is YouTube exclusive content from Ready Check Radio. Check it out. But today on this show, obviously, we've got Live Letter. We've got other odds and ends from the 14-hour broadcast and a few little Square Enix things. But it's going to be mostly just Final Fantasy XIV today, getting some opinions and seeing where we go. We're only a few months away from Endwalker. Joining me to talk through all of it, Mr. Chris Montoya, a.k.a. Tarkoth. What's up, sir?
Ratings programs. A little frustrated. I tried to buy my friend Final Fantasy XIV, and I just couldn't do it. I don't
can't
get
do
what's
that.
going on.
Can't do that.
So sad.
Not allowed.
Oh, well.
Not allowed.
You'll
Also
have to
on the
suffer
line.
with other games.
Also on the line, a friend of mine that has never once bought me a video game. Adam Lane, a.k.a. Kronos. What's up, sir?
What's going on? Yeah, I'm actually kind of excited. I think we got a lot more news than we thought we were going to get, which is cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, and don't misunderstand. Like, none of it's mega huge or but there are pieces of things. And then there were some things mentioned, like Yoshi P always trolls, right? And we know that, and it's all set up. I actually think he did say something on this stream that a few minutes later he was like, I wasn't supposed to say anything like that. Oops. And it wasn't 14 related. It was 16 related. But honestly, if you go back and watch the footage, if it is a troll, which he does all the time, it is probably one of his better ones, because his face mirrors the face that was made during the HR incident of the fan fest. They're like, we don't make our employees work 36 hours a day. We don't make our employees do that. Let's be clear. I guess we should start off though with Tark, the game is sold out.
Yep.
And that is not surprising, given a lot of big name streamers. We've talked about Asmon, we've talked about Bellular, and they are not by any stretch of the imaginations the only ones getting into the game and doing some streaming in. It's got a lot of attention on it right now. It's doing really well. We're fans. We like seeing that. Welcome. If you're a new player checking out this podcast, welcome to the game. Even if you're toxic, I don't fucking care. Enjoy the game. And if you're toxic, you're going to end up banned at some point anyway. So what do I care?
Probably.
What do I care? Yeah, what do I care? Enjoy the game. But here's the thing. What makes it a little weird is that it was sold out digitally. Not talking like you can't go to Best Buy and pick up a copy, which you can't and you haven't been able to for a long time. But you can't even go to the Square Enix store and just get the digital copy on it now.
Nope.
And it's a little bit weird. Now, so here's the problem I have with it. I have the problem, one, in how the media reported it. Okay, a lot of sites just slammed it up there that Square Enix has halted sales of the digital game, and then went on to report that it's got such an exponential growth curve right now that they had to halt the sales. And while I don't think I did disagree with somebody on Twitter a little bit that they thought it was absolutely crazy that somebody could think that that's what had happened. I disagreed on that point a little bit. I don't think it's crazy for somebody to have thought, oh, it's growing. I remember when A Realm Reborn launched and they had such a big curve that they halted sales before. And their argument was, it's very different now. The architecture is different. And while all of that is true, I just my only point was I don't think it was crazy to jump to that conclusion. What I do think was bad was a lot of sites reporting it as fact, that that's exactly what happened. Honestly, in looking at it, and I did end up saying this on Twitter to the person I was discussing it with. It was a very nice discussion. They were very pleasant. And I said, ultimately, I agree with you. Like, if that's what they had done here, I feel like they would have said something. They would have put out an announcement, because they did back then when it happened. Honestly, I think this was just nobody was watching the stock of digitally generated keys, and they got surprised. And it takes a little while to spin up a batch of new digital electronic keys, Tark. I don't think it needs to be any more complex than that.
I don't think it is any more complex. I think they just got caught with their pants down, I guess. Too many new players, big popularity influx, and they just didn't have the keys to give them to everybody that wanted to try the game out.
Yeah, and they don't spin up quickly. Like, if you know anything about this, and Kronos, you and I are in the tech field and software development field, this is not, just go click, generate on the old Excel sheet, and all of a sudden you have keys. It doesn't work that way.
Right. And there's like a whole process to how that works. So, I mean, I don't know how it's set up on their back end, but it's definitely not just like a thing that just happens like that. I was still surprised though. Like, it definitely caught me off guard, because I was like, man, I didn't even think that was something that was possible. I mean, I know in my head, like, we work in tech, that something like that could happen, but it's
it
still
only
insane to me.
happens if somebody. I think Tark's right. I think it only happens if somebody drops the ball. Like, somebody just wasn't watching the keys. They get caught with their pants down. And see, now there's another argument for why belts should not be taken out of the game, because then Square Enix pants fall. But we expect this to be fixed relatively soon. I'm sure they would love to just suck up the money. Why not?
Right.
Square does like your money. They do like your money. They don't force you to sub like other games. Go watch Snowbound that we put up on Tuesday. But, they'll take your money. It's no problem. It sucks if you're trying to get the game, like your favorite streamer is checking it out, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to give that game a shot now. Oh, it's not available. How in this day and age is it not available?
Funny part is that they Square would be more than happy to take your money, but I'm seeing a lot of new players like, how do I buy this game and actually get it to work? I think Square needs to really work on their storefronts to make it a little bit more consumer friendly.
Oh, and one of our very first episodes, the Love It or Leave It thing, was the Square Enix marketplace. And I think if I remember right, as a functional website where you could buy things, we all said leave it on that front. Because it's not great. And this isn't new, by the way. Like, I don't know if any of you remember, because I don't know exactly when you tried 11, but when 11 was downloaded through Play Online, and oh my God, I mean, it was just a fiasco. You had your sign in for Play Online, then you would go and get the game, which was the slowest downloader in the world. Then you would have your sign in for the game itself, and you would have a Play Online name, which maybe didn't necessarily match your. Anyway, Square is not good at interfaces.
It's like Mog Station's like, they have updated it recently, but it's still they need to look at it. Like from what I understand from like what WoW players are saying, like you can accidentally buy WoW, and they're having trouble like buying 14. So,
do you remember when the Mog Station didn't have a cart?
Yeah.
You had
Mog
to
Station
run
used to be worse,
every single item through as a one item purchase. You're like, I'm buying 3 minions in a mount. This is gonna cost 4 transactions.
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
Wasn't worth it. Wasn't worth it.
When they put in a cart, I was like, yes. Best update ever. And somehow the Epic Game Store to this day, by the way, still doesn't have a cart. Sidebar.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Sidebar, but anyway, should be available soon. Queues should start to fall. I mean, this stuff happens. You go through the waves. The one thing that I really think they need to address, if we're going to talk about this stuff, though, Tark, is character creation on servers. I know, please don't put in the comments why they're doing it. Like, I get it. I get why they have done it for years and years and years. I get why they still do it. It is horribly inconvenient. That is a horrible system when Tark, you are trying to bring a friend on the game, and just naturally you want to get them on the same server, so you don't have to deal with world transfers and data center transfers or anything like that.
And here's hopefully that's the new system where they, your world is full, so they're going to put you just on one. Will help alleviate that. But yeah, there's still the block where if it's too full, you can't make the characters. So they definitely need to work some kinks out.
And
hopefully
again, I'm not bashing them.
Systems.
Like, we all understand why they do it, and ultimately it probably is a net good, but it felt really horrible. Like, you get a new friend playing, and they're like, okay, I'm going to go to, all right, where are you? I'm on Behemoth. I can't create a character there. Should I just create it somewhere else? You can just do it on Primal, but still, it'd be easier for other things if you were just on Behemoth. And wait till 2 a.m. East Coast time. It'll probably be open. That's not the way to sell things.
I'll be on.
We did have the 14-hour live stream that kicked off after the introduction with the live letter. Now, we're going to cover something else prior to actually breaking down the live letter, but it is something that was announced at the live letter. Okay, so we're going to break this piece out on its own, gentlemen, and that is the benchmark. Not only is the benchmark for Endwalker available, you can go download it and run it now to see how your system's going to perform, but of course we have the benchmark trailer that goes with that, which is always something we like to see and kind of pick apart any little pieces that we can or things hiding in the backgrounds. We love doing this type of stuff. I will tell you what, Wool looking swole in the Paladin armor, man. Wool is just a beast, looking amazing in the Paladin armor in the benchmark trailer. So showing it now for those of you, starts off with our music, starts off with our Final Fantasy IV music. Obviously, I'm not going to play that for copyright reasons, but it is in there. And additionally, in the benchmark, the character creation tool is there. So if you want to create a character that, maybe you want a male Viera because they're included there, you can go mess with them now.
Yeah,
go build yourself a bunny boy and save that style. And when Endwalker launches, go ahead and just import it and be done. Or get ready and Fantasia it up. Like, whatever you want to do, it's in there. You can play with it all. I assume everybody on the panel has run it, correct?
No.
Yes, sir. Extremely high.
Yeah, I got. You got your brand new rig too. Yeah, I bet that was fun for you to see.
Hell yeah!
Extremely high on mine. I tweeted it out, bragging rights. Kronos, you didn't run it yet. You just kept watching the trailer over and over again and got too busy.
You got me. I don't think I've ran one since Heaven's Word. I don't really I don't change my character very much as far as that kind of stuff. So I'm still might change to Melvier, but I'm not. I don't really care to make it yet. So I just watched the trailer. So it's way easier for me just to watch the trailer 100 times on YouTube than to download a benchmark and then get rid of it later because I don't want it on my machine anymore. So it's cool. And for the people that just want to see the high numbers, it's fine. I know I can run the game, so I'm not.
Yeah, I don't think anybody on this panel was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna. I wanted to check out the 4K options and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That were in the benchmark, and so I was not disappointed. There's our boy Alpha now. These cities look beautiful. Just look gorgeous. Absolutely amazing, Tark.
Absolutely gorgeous. And I love the architecture. I loved it in Idleshire, so seeing a full city is pretty sweet.
It was very impressive. Very impressive. Any hints of things that you saw or things that make you question? I know one of the big ones that I saw and a lot of people saw on the internet was an ability that is kind of used towards the end of the combat segment of the benchmark. So, Tark, you're nodding. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Are we talking about the Summoner Fire Dash?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it kind of looked nice. Kronos, anything you're noticing in here that made you question what we might see?
I saw a lot of stuff, right? I think there's some obvious takeaways. We saw AoE versions of moves that aren't currently AoE, like Warrior and who else did it? Samurai. We definitely saw a 3 Mudra, probably Kasatsu move. So that's something Ninja can. There's definitely a new Black Mage skill in there.
100%.
Powered up versions of Sheltron and TBN look pretty cool. Reaper LB3 Xeno does that. That looked pretty. I thought it looked awesome. I know some people aren't a huge fan of it, but I thought it looked pretty sweet. I mean, there's a lot in there. So
I do like right here coming up in the trailer. There is a moment where the Warrior of Light is a good tank.
Yes.
Does not rush in until he gets protect. Does not. You just watch. They're all standing there, and there's a pause, and he waits, and then you just see the cast protect, and then he's like, "All right, now I'm gonna pull right here." I love this moment. He's like, "Okay, we're gonna pull. All right, cool. Now let's go. We're ready." Good tank, Warrior of Light. Nice job.
He now needs to put in that ready check before you engage.
Exactly.
So
Then the next sequence is them flying on mounts, which I thought was neat. Like, I don't remember, and maybe it was, but I just missed it. Like, I don't remember seeing a cluster in a trailer or a benchmark of characters riding a bunch of different mounts. Like
they always do it.
they always do it.
Well,
Heaven's
I've seen them
Ward,
on like all
Stormblood.
on different chocobos and all on different stuff. Like I saw the Twintania mount in there, and I was like,
right.
I've never seen like these odds and end mounts in there. Maybe I wasn't looking for them, and I just happened to notice it this time. But some of these are not like main story mounts, like the Enterprise and stuff like that you see in other trailers or benchmarks. Some of the like the Twintania one is the friend recruit mount.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just cool seeing them in there. If it's been done before, then I just missed it.
I don't think I've ever seen like you said, like the mounts like that, but they do usually do like a segment where like everybody's.
Oh yeah. Like I mean, the first one they were all on ground, right? They were just charging through with chocobos and everything. Damn, did this trailer get me pumped though?
Oh
yeah.
Why isn't it November?
Dude, we still have a lot of information to get that we don't have yet. I was shocked it came out this early. Honestly, like it caught me off guard. So
What, that the benchmark was 4 months early?
Yeah, like I was not expecting. Like even if they showed like some images or stuff, which we got to, but I did not expect them to lead with a benchmark trailer and say that benchmark would be downloadable in like 2 days.
I felt like maybe they felt like they had to, because knowing that the live letter really didn't have much that they were willing to reveal, that they were like, you know what, this will be a cool announcement. Can we get it ready in time?
Yeah, no, I think it was a good idea.
Definitely a good idea. Doc Holliday in chat surprised too. So, did anybody create a male VR? I did not, because I didn't create a female VR. I don't care. So
yeah, I'm glad it's in the game. I didn't create one. I'm good with my all raw. I love being scaly, but I'm glad the male bunnies are in the game, and you can try it out and see if you can make a set that you like and play the game with it.
Bunnies are going to get new hairstyles too, and Yoshi P did apologize in the live letter for how long it has taken to give them new hairstyles. So, all right. Square Enix not spending money right now on generating keys because they're busy spending money on server upgrades, something that was talked about during the live letter as well. Now, they are suspending, obviously we knew about, data center spinning up for SEA, and so there's obviously huge spends going on in architecture. This is more in back-end stuff rather than hardware service stuff. Maybe this could change like the whole requirements for waiting until they're ready, but these probably aren't going to be ready for 6.0. This will probably be a little bit after. But in this segment, they did release the new player counts. And again, I hate this number. Take it with a grain of salt. This is not player base size. This is not current active subscriptions. This is not people on trials and being included or excluded. If you ever created a Final Fantasy XIV account, Kronos, you're in this number.
Yeah.
23 million. No doubt an impressive number, but also ultimately, I work in this industry, a meaningless number, Kronos.
Yeah. I mean, but it looks good.
It definitely looks good.
yeah. We know like it's a little bit of like fudging to like make it look better than it is. There's a lot of players, but it definitely isn't 23 million. So it's cool, but I'd like to see like more of like an active number. I think that would be more interesting to me. I just don't know if they want to show it. So that's why you have like a lot of third-party people trying to like data mine that kind of stuff to see like how many people have cleared. Because like I don't know, I think it'd be cool to see like how many people have cleared a raid, something like that. And it's like to try to find that is like so hard.
So I've seen sites in the past, and not the one we just talked about recently. I'm talking, way back. I've seen sites in the past try to estimate the current subscriber base or the current player base. And one of the ways that I thought, hey, that's a pretty nifty, I mean, it's still suspect metric, but a pretty nifty way to do it was to use the lodestone to figure out how many people had different, minions and things like that. Like you could look at the reward for completing the Heavensward story, right? The entire MSQ for Heavensward Tark, and how many people had that. And I think they were doing it for Heavensward and stuff like that. I would be interested in seeing that number for Shadowbringers. Like how many people have the achievement or the physical reward for completing the MSQ. That, I think, gives you, still not subs or anything, but gives you a much better idea of how many people have paid long enough to play the game to get to that point. I think that's a more valuable number.
It is a more valuable number, but they're just not going to release that because of stockholders. They got stocks and things they got to worry about, and they can't.
Well, that
show
number
the ups
you
and
could just go
downs.
look up.
So,
like I haven't done it personally in a while, but that number you could just go look up, pick an item, and you used to be able to do like on Minion Menagerie and stuff like that. And there's other Minion sites now that you can go and do that with. So you could go look up, number of players that have a particular minion. But yeah, I agree with you, Tark. There's like no incentive. Like certainly you would have no problem announcing subscription numbers right now. Like for your stockholders too. You would love to be publicly saying, we have 5 million subscribers. We have 4 million. We have 6 million. We have 7 million. Yeah. We've grown to 7.5 million. We're at 8 million. The problem then becomes what happened with Blizzard. Blizzard used to report those subscriber numbers in their investor calls. And when they hit, over 12 million in Wrath of the Lich King, they loved reporting that stuff.
Absolutely.
Then the problem was 2 years down the road, you have to start, you're not going to stay that big that long. Nobody expects you to. But when you have 1 million players drop off, that's the headline.
Oh, no, doom and gloom.
Right. Not whatever's going on in your game anymore. That's the headline. The 600,000 drop. There's the headline. I remember when Rift launched, their 600,000 or 500,000, whatever announcement that they had made, coincided with a Blizzard call announcing that they had lost 600,000 subscribers between two time periods. And I remember Tryon World actually saying, we know where those players went. Like, it becomes marketing against you. There is no reason for them to give those numbers out, Kronos.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, the number that they're reporting now, it can't go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can never go down.
So, yeah, so they're always reporting an increase, even if it's, like, small. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, when you come from that side, it definitely, like, yeah, it can only make them look worse. I don't know. I like looking at numbers like that. But, yeah, they'll probably never truly report active subscribers. So.
All right. Off to the live letter. Pandemonium raid stuff. Now, I know that Tark and Kronos, you had some concerns about this being around Christmas. I put Christmas in the wrong line of the show notes. Forgive me. Because typically, end of November, we would have 2 weeks, and then the raid would go live, and then we would have 2 weeks, and then the Savage would go live. Meaning that Savage would basically be the week of Christmas, if you map it out.
Yeah.
Now, they did talk about Pandemonium, but they did not talk about the actual date that it would go live. They didn't say that it wasn't going to be 2 weeks as normal, but they pretty much left it at no exact date yet. So I wonder if there is some thought, and I know World of Warcraft, when Shadowlands launched, we talked about that on Snowbound. Castle Nathria was pushing like the week of or week before Christmas, the weekend before, something like that. It was very close. I mean, this would almost be literally on Christmas week. So So I wonder if there is a little bit of thought, Tark, on maybe we go 3 weeks before regular and then 2 weeks before Savage. Typically, we would already have these dates locked in because the expansion date is locked in. But in the live letter, they said no date yet. No date yet.
Which I think is wise. You don't put yourself in the box where you then have to make adjustments. You're like, well, we haven't decided yet. And I hope they're really looking at it because that is kind of a big inconvenience. Everybody's, worrying about family at that point. So if you make yourself fluid, you're like, you know what, we really should. And I think your time frame is perfect. You put out the normal the week before, so people can play it the week before and when they have time during Christmas week.
And the week of if they want to, yeah.
Yeah. And then the week after Christmas, New Year's, is New Year's. But people, the major holiday is past you. Now people can kind of focus in on getting that Savage done and have that world first experience.
Yeah, and none of us are like world first pushers or anything, but like Kronos, you are a bit more aggressive on the Savage push than I would say the average player is.
Yeah.
And so what would your guild do? What would your free company do? Would you just say, hey, you know what? Just chill for Christmas. Like if they did 2 weeks, and it came out on Christmas, would you just, you know what, screw it, guys. We'll hit it New Year's week. It's no big deal. Or would this be a, hey, we need to try and get 8 available?
So they've released stuff close to holidays, but never like that week.
Yeah.
So typically, like your world first proggers, they're done, and even like
those three companies are playing
ones.
Whenever it comes out.
Yeah. Like
if they put it out on Christmas Day, they would do it. That's just what they do.
So I guess like what I'm saying is like, so if there was like, so like we've had it before where it's been like the week before Thanksgiving, and like that first week, all the hardcore, they're done, right? But like I'm still raiding the second week. Like I'd say we kill a boss somewhere between 3 weeks to a month. We kill the last boss. That's our typical pace.
I was going to say, you kill a boss. Maybe you are not as a little more aggressive than the average player as I thought.
Depending on the tier, we're usually on the third boss the second week. It depends on the tier, though. But, so we typically have to, like, still schedule on those holidays, and a lot of times those are just short weeks. Like, we might raid one day. And that's probably what we do here. Like, if they release it on Christmas week, I don't even know what day Christmas falls on, honestly. We might raid, like, one day that week. And then probably just move to the next week. Because, like, we're kind of raiding at our pace. Like, yeah, sure, we're, like, more on the hardcore end than most. But, like, we're not going to kill our personal life to down a boss. But I think some people do, and that's why they want it, like, not on a holiday week. Because they want to, like, no life it for 3 days. Which that's how they get their enjoyment. There's nothing
Christmas
wrong with
is a Saturday this year, by the way.
Okay.
Saturday.
Yeah, so we would probably... I would assume we'd raid, like, early in the week. And it would just be a one-day raid week if they were to drop it. That's probably what my group would do.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're considering it. Like, the fact that they said no exact dates yet, it kind of tells me that they might be considering a 1 week delay in either direction. Like, the normal 1 week delayed and then have the Savage on New Year's, or the normal on 2 weeks and then the Savage 3 weeks out on New Year's week instead of 2. Like, some type of shifting like that. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. And it also fits with, just Yoshi P's mentality. Of this is a game, have fun, but go do things with your friends and your family, and it's okay to leave and go play other games. And when we're here with our patch, come and give us $15 and play. Like, that just fits, I think, with the whole development philosophy. Myths of the Realm, though, there wasn't a lot on this one. We still kind of expect that in March with 6.1. Still looking forward to that one. Like, that might be the 24-person raid that I've looked forward to the most. When I was looking forward to Crystal Tower because I played FF3 and I like that, some of those characters. But I think this Myths of the Realms, I think I'm looking forward to more than any 24-person raid when it was initially teased. I just like the idea of a 24-person raid that is based on 14's lore.
Oh, yeah.
I think that is the appeal to me.
Yeah, it's not that Crystal Tower is not impactful now.
Right.
But, like, back then, it definitely wasn't written that way. I mean, they've obviously, like, turned it around, and it's very important. But this is, like, feels a lot more weight to it than anything else, like, on release.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Beast Tribes are going to be playing a part in the main story. In the main story quest. We've kind of seen this, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, to a minor extent here and there.
The Al Jamal just recently.
Yeah, the Amalja and the Elixir when we were building their airship and stuff like that. So I would expect it to kind of be on par with that. Like when he said it, I think some people were like, "Oh wow, they're gonna play a big role in it." And I was like, "No, they kind of all have a little bit." There's always been one of the Beast Tribes that played a little bit in the story, and I would expect it to just kind of be like sidebar main story stuff, like it has been. I'm not really expecting any big changes here. You guys?
I guess it's because like the last patch, like all the Beast Tribes are like now like with everybody else, so they're like more involved. So maybe that's like what he's pointing out to. The fact that they're going to be like, instead of being like just a Beast Tribe that like shows up, does something, and then we'll talk to them later. They're going to be more like maybe like you'll get to know like their higher ups, almost like we know like Merleweb and stuff like that. Maybe that's what he's pointing out to. But I don't know if it's even going to go that far.
I think it's just as simple as, this is all of Eorzea getting together. That's the main cities and the Beast Tribes getting together and going to Garlemald.
Everybody's got to pray and cast Meteor.
That's right.
Get them all together. Get them all together. Let's take a look at some artifact armor, gentlemen. This was kind of like the key art reveal portion of the show. We got our male Vieira gunslinger there. Pretty okay. A lot of this harkens back like to original sets, and I love it. I mean, we'll get to Black Mage, which I love. Red Mage, oh my god. Oh, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. But like, I like the eye patch going on here, and that's kind of a recurring thing too. We see a bunch of eye patches. There's the Paladin. We saw that in the trailer. We saw that.
Big tanky boy.
Now, yeah, this one is very swole. This one's very swole. This one's not human. We got our warrior there.
Yeah, the warrior looks badass.
Yeah,
warrior looks very, very cool. I love its kind of feral feel to it.
It's got very like Ifrit horns and stuff on the helm. Mm-hmm. There you go, Kronos. You were talking about that in the trailer.
I'm not a huge fan of a lot of these, to be honest. Some of them look cool, but I don't know. Some the eye patch on this one just looks weird to me.
It does look goofy. Dragoon looks badass though.
Dragoon always. I feel like you can't miss with Dragoon.
This looks like Cecil.
It does, yeah.
Like
it looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, Cecil Kane mashup. Yeah, looks really good.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of Cecil Kane from 4. Like it's kind of like Kane's helm, or I'm sorry, Cecil's
like the Dark Knight helmet.
Yeah, the Dark Knight helmet, and then the Dragoon Kane armor.
Yeah,
and the spear is just sweet.
I like this, although the coloring on this one is pretty unique when you compare it to the rest of them. The very purple tones. Everything else has been like reds and silvers and stuff.
Yeah. Looks a lot like Dreadworm armor to me. But
there you go. That was what I was
Good
feeling.
call. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Little samurai action for you.
I love the samurai one. I think it's one of the best ones in this set.
It's funny. I'm actually not that big a fan of this one. Normally, samurai is like kills it for me, but for some reason I don't know.
Why don't you like it?
I don't know. It's hard for me to like really put my finger on it. It looks like I don't know. I don't really feel like it looks anything crazy like what we already have in the game. Like when I see artifact armors, like I really like. I don't know. I want it to feel like the classic job, but I want like to see something new than what they've done before, which is why
I think they kind of nailed that here though.
Yeah.
They've got what's clearly an Eastern style garb in a very Western style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean I'm not mad at anybody that likes this. I don't know. Like I like the Stormblood one was like nailed for me. I really like the Stormblood samurai artifact here, but
look at that hat. That hat. Oh, your hat sucks. Take it off. It's not a red mage hat. You're not allowed.
The bows that they make in this game are so weird to me lately. Like I haven't really liked a lot of bows that they've been putting in the game. And I feel like bows used to be so awesome, like back in the day, like ARR and stuff. But now it's like I don't know. I feel like they always put like 2 or 3 too many things on a bow.
Yeah, I'm not.
They've gotten to a point where they've made them so complex that there's like, okay, well, now I got to add more to what we've had complex to this bow, and now it's just this big unwieldy thing. It's like,
I do like the fan of knives thing. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. This
I like
looks
the
like
fan of
Rosa.
knives.
Yeah, this looks like
Oh,
Rosa to
yes,
me.
yes, but red. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. I like the fan of knives. I don't necessarily like the rest of the outfit.
It's very hooker to me. Like, I mean, in a good way, of course, right? If you're a hooker, there's no problem with that. Just be safe, do your thing.
I was gonna go stripper, but yeah, okay, hooker. Let's do hooker.
Whatever floats your boat. Be safe. I do like machinist. I do like
Machinist is good.
Yeah, I do like this one.
Is the robot model upgraded?
It's
Updated?
the same. It's the same. It
It's the
doesn't
same?
look any
Okay.
different. Yeah, I don't even know why. I remember when they showed this, we were like, because a bunch of us were watching together because I had friends in town, and I was like, why are they even showing the back?
Yeah.
Like the back is not changed. Yeah. Maybe it's because the Lalafell didn't take up enough of the pictures, so they were like, throw them back in there.
Okay, this looks like what I imagine a white mage would get married in.
Yes,
it's almost
exactly.
like a white mage bridal gown.
Yes.
This looks cool, but man, as a white mage player that plays a male character, can I please get a robe that it looks good on a male white mage?
I'm not looking forward to this on my male aura.
Like, I haven't really liked
Artifact armor has no gender. Stop it, you two.
Well, no, it doesn't, right?
Put
but
on your bridal gown and enjoy it.
The like the original, artifact, like the old school white mage. Like I still wear that sometimes. I like that gear a lot. But then everything else after that is just a dress, which is great for people that want to wear dresses as a white mage. That's awesome. But I want robes that I don't know. It's just a complaint.
Here you go, Tark. Enjoy your college graduation mortarboard hat.
Very minimalized mortarboard hat. A lot of these casters ones are very old school in their feel, going back to their original days. But I won't be using this because I'll be Sage. So
look at you. You're like, oh, that artifact armor sucks. Time to re-roll.
Yep.
Looks nice. Very fortune teller, which fits.
Does this look that much different than the Shadowbringers one?
I don't think it does.
It doesn't.
Actually.
It doesn't look much different than the Heavensward one. So
it doesn't look much different from just about everything they wear.
Yeah, when I saw this one, I was like, it looks exactly the same. Like maybe the turban's a little bit different, but
little frill in the bottom.
Hell to the yes. Hell yes. I loved our original artifact armor, and this is just a slightly updated look to it for the Black Mage. That looks fantastic. Even got the hat eye patch combo back. Love it. Love it. Thumbs up on this one. You get your Phoenix behind you in your summoner.
Looks awesome. Okay.
Do you remember, so what did they say about Eggies? Like, they didn't want to, Eggy skins? Like, they didn't want to do anything for a system that might change?
Because they don't, so I think we might have touched on this on, one of the casts when we were talking about, changes. Summoners kind of in, they're kind of locked in, a weird spot where they're on this really rigid rotation, and if they die, you basically, have to restart, and then, because, you can't just, do your Bahamut phase and then get raised because you died and go straight to Phoenix. You got to start back over. So it's kind of in this weird place where if they keep adding these big summons, which are obviously the coolest part of the job, right? Like the coolest part of the job is summoning Bahamut, summoning Phoenix.
Imagine that.
But if you add a third phase, now it's even worse, right? You're just adding on to a problem. So they need to figure out a way to do that. And I think maybe that action in the trailer might lead to something. I don't know. A lot of people think Summoner's going to get a rework. So we'll see.
I hope they do. Just for complexity's sake, I hope they get a rework.
So I think it'd be cool if just these big badass summons are tied to just certain attacks with long cooldowns. Because that's kind of what they are now, but a little bit different.
I'd be happy if they were just kind of like mini limit breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just have all the summons be a mini limit break. One shot ability. Ifrit is a an AOE conal. I don't know. And then this. So Black Mage was my second favorite armor because, oh my god, that looks amazing.
It's very Red Mage.
Amazing. I thought the original Red Mage artifact armor was pretty Red Mage, and it was. And I know for some of you, you may be like, there's not a lot of difference. There are. I'm here to tell you you're wrong. This is very Final Fantasy XI original Red Mage artifact armor, and I'm all for it. I am here for every single bit of it. Every single bit of it. Looks amazing. Looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks cool. I still like the original one more, I think, but this one's pretty cool too.
You're wrong, but that's okay.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Credit to Nova Crystallis on the screenshots there. I know they were just generally available, but that's where I got them, so I want to give them the credit for that. We did get a pretty weird and pretty great, I think, piece of information on housing in this live letter. Tark, we're going to have the addition of a lottery? What's going on here?
So, there's going to be the regular way you can get a house, and there's going to be a lottery system where you could put in money, and if you're at the top of the bids, you can get a house. And that's awesome for people that don't want to be up at 2 a.m. hoping to secure a plot, or when the servers come on live at 3 a.m. to secure a plot. You can put it in this lottery system. And again, if you have a top bid, you get a house. I might actually get a house with this system. This is going to be amazing.
No, I mean, if you want to, you can still go click the boards and do your thing, right? Like, it's
Yeah,
not
you can
replacing
try.
that.
It's
This
not.
is
It's
just like
it's an
in
addition. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it because it's still lottery. You know, it's not like a first come first serve. It's a lottery.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm worried. Like, can FCs abuse this? Like, that's my worry, right? Like one person versus an FC, you can't win.
Well, I think
right?
there's still the account limits that are in place.
Well, right, to a singular account, but I'm talking an FC full of people that want a house versus an individual, right?
Well, all those individuals to still get a house isn't under how it currently is. So, I mean, if you have the money, you have the money.
Yeah, I don't think the money's usually the problem.
Yeah.
You know, anybody looking at getting a
lots,
house has the gill because they want to get a house. There are limitations in the lottery, like you can't do it on a trial account and stuff. I mean, the limitations make sense because you couldn't carry that much gill anyway, like on a trial account. So none of the like limitations really matter. I think it's a step in the right direction. Any change to the way they allocate housing is a welcome step in the right direction at this point. I'm not exactly the best fan of the lottery. If you don't get the house, do you lose the money? No.
I hope not.
No,
I wouldn't think so. Like, we don't know for sure what the details are on how it works, but that would be pretty beat if it's a gill sync lottery. No, basically they want to make sure that you're paying for the plot of land and for everything first. Like, you can't put yourself in the lottery to randomly get drawn to buy the plot if you can't afford to actually buy the plot. That's why they're sucking the money right off of you. And I think, Tark, you used the word bid. It's not a bidding system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a lottery. It's an availability lottery. It's an availability lottery. At least that's the way I read it. Like, how it could, or I mean, it was translated, so who knows? Whatever, we'll see. Step in the right direction. Step in the right direction. Let's go through the schedule, gentlemen. Because surprisingly, we've actually got a lot going on. Now, that doesn't mean all of it's super exciting, but we do have a lot going on now. So as we move forward here, we will have the Make It Rain campaign in just a few days here. So save up your...
tomorrow. I think that date, for some reason, because I feel like the site says it's tomorrow. I just noticed that.
It's 16th, yeah.
The slide says the 19th.
Or wait, no, now the site says the 19th. Maybe the site was wrong. I just reloaded the site and it changed. So
I don't think it would really make sense for the event to start on a Friday.
Yeah. No, maybe, it was weird, but yeah.
So Make It Rain starts. By the way, if you intend to be jumping into the Final Fantasy XV collaboration because you missed it the first time and you want to get that sweet regalia mount, then you probably want to take advantage of the Make It Rain campaign if you're a little light on MGP. Go ahead and get yourself some extra monies. After that, literally like 4 days after that, we have the patch 558. New feast season.
Oh yeah, PvP love. Good times, right? It's the best stuff. That's what I need.
Expecting anything else really here? Like we'll have little updates and things like that, but is there anything big that we?
They're gonna give me my goddamn diamond weapon mount. That's what that is.
You mean you're gonna unleash your 99 totems to buy your mount?
Exactly. Yeah. Technically, I get 2 mounts.
Yes.
But yeah.
August 13th, we get the Moonfire Fair.
Yeah.
Again, see, like, if you're a longtime player, these are just recurring things for you, but they are things to look forward to and, beat the doldrums up a little bit. Now, they didn't, I don't have the slide for this one, but the 15 collaboration event is actually on September 13th. Mm-hmm. That comes back with seasonal event replay. So if you have done this before, you can go and do it again. Yeah, I'll stream PvP. You're out of your damn mind, chat. Event quests can be reset, allowing them to be replayed, but all access to the shops and the certain items, those would also be reset. So if you do it, make sure you finish everything and buy everything you want, because you might not do enough to get access to the shops and everything again. So just be aware. But, if you want to go and play it again, that was one of my favorite events, actually. I thought that one was done really well. I thought lore-wise it was weirder than Lightning being there, but I liked the event itself. And the Regalia is a sweet-ass mount, particularly in flying formation.
Hell yeah.
Then what do we got, Kronos? What's next?
Well, you skipped the Rising. That's my favorite yearly
event.
Oh,
yeah, I did skip the Rising. I thought my slide was after that. My bad. That's our anniversary event. August 27th. I like
usually
the Rising.
2 minions.
You said that's your favorite?
Yeah, usually 2 minions every event.
Yep.
Score.
Anything that gives me minions, I like.
Hell yeah.
Anything that gives me minions, I like.
And we get to see Yoshi P and his Wandering Minstrel. Maybe a little juicy info. Maybe a mini game.
Yeah, there's some kind of mini game usually with that too, which is kind of cool. Those ones are usually different too. It's not like
and September is the month you want to watch out for if you want info on Endwalker. So the media tours are planned for September. Now, that doesn't mean that we'll be able to have access to all the information from the media tours yet. Remember, the media tours happen, and then those content creators or news outlets are generally under an embargo for a few weeks after that event. So it doesn't mean that, this says they're planned for mid-September. So if you want information, my guess is that we'll be looking at end of September, very, very beginning of October, maybe, for the actual info dump from the media events. But Yoshi P is going to hold the media events in September. So I'm looking forward to that. That's always a good time, getting all that information.
Yeah, usually with that comes my favorite thing too, the Java Extra trailer.
Yeah, but isn't that a little early though?
Yeah, it might be.
With Endwalker being end of November.
So like you said, they might that 2 week. They might wait until the embargo is almost lifted and then drop it right then, and then let everybody else drop their stuff. But maybe they'll wait till after that. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm trying to remember how it happened with Shadowbringers and Stormblood, because I remember watching a lot of the people that made content, but I don't remember if I saw the Java Extra trailer first and then I saw their stuff, because the Java Extra trailer it just shows you what they look like, but the content creators, they can show the tooltips, they can so I don't remember, to be honest. I don't know which one we're gonna get first, but I just want to see all of it, honestly. That's the stuff that excites me the most. I want to see the job changes and the new jobs.
October 19th, the Moogle Treasure Trove returns. Do we know if the Blue Mage Challenge was successful?
I saw the regions that I follow on Twitter were successful, so I assume they all were, but I didn't 100% check.
All right.
But
so if they all were, then that means, remember, that there will be additional coat
the
in the
jacket.
the jacket, the meteor jacket in the Moogle Treasure Trove in the October event. So just make sure you remember that. Make sure you remember that and go claim yours. And then, gentlemen, we are there. After the Moogle Treasure Trove, it's just a countdown of days. November 19th, early access for Endwalker. November 23rd, that actually launches. November 30th, we pick up All Saints Wake, the Halloween, not Halloween event. December 15th, Starlight for the holidays, and January 1st, Heaven's Turn. So we have the usual way to cap off the year right on the heels of an expansion. So for a game that has 6 months, between when we found out about the expansion, when it's coming, there's actually surprisingly a lot going on. There's basically one big thing every month. Now, how invested you are in it, that's going to vary by player. Some of these events you may not care about, in which case, I'm sorry, go grind out some tomestones or something. I pick another class, go level it. If you're Mecha 80s, then I don't know.
You know what they should do is they should gate all these by tomestones, and then every week you have to do something to unlock them. It doesn't bother me, but if something were to affect me, then I'd be upset. But
is that a WoW jab?
Yeah, he's making fun of Snowbound. I tore into WoW, and I'm enjoying WoW still, but I tore into it on Tuesday's episode. Remember the damage squish? They talked about that a little bit. No real new information besides, guys, you're not going to get weaker. Please stop. You're not going to get weaker. You won't crit that Fire 4 for 100k. You will crit it for 20k. But that's okay because it still feels powerful versus your 900 and 2,000 normal damage abilities. It's not just you that's getting numbers squished. It's everything that's getting numbers squished. This happens in MMOs. This happens in programming, even if it's not a game. Sometimes numbers get too big, and big numbers wreak havoc on a database. They wreak havoc on a database. If you guys haven't known, Enmity is entirely broken in the game right now. Yeah. It is just entirely broken. It doesn't behave. This is a reason, the big reason why. So this has to happen. Your character will not get weaker. Yeah, your numbers will look smaller, but your relative power will be the same. There is a note there, though, that undersized parties, they're going to have to tweak a little bit because those numbers won't quite work by just being shrunk down. And remember, this is all post level 50 anyway, right?
Yeah.
So you're fine there. You're fine there if you're brand new to the game.
Do we know, one of the things that I thought was unclear, does it affect things that are level 50 that are after ARR? Or is it just those are level 50 content, that's not affected? Like if I wanted to unsync Coil, is that affected?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think anything that's 50 to 80 is going to be affected.
Okay, so that counts. That's where I was unclear. Yeah. I didn't know if because that's level 50, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter until you get to Heaven's Word and you're 51 technically. The most interesting thing for me is I don't know how this is going to affect ultimates. I'm kind of interested to see if that.
I think that's part of why they're going to put in a little bit of tweaked buff specifically because of that.
I don't think you're going to get buffed at ultimate. That says undersized parties.
Yeah,
I don't think
they're tweaking the numbers though. So if there's a discrepancy, that they got
right. Yeah, I'm
tick
sure
it up just as much for that the right to.
Yeah, I would just be interested if the combination of the squish with the job changes, if it's going to make the ultimates harder than they are now. Because right now, honestly, the older ultimates, with how everything changed and how you get scaled down, are actually a bit easier than they were when they released. So I'm wondering if this is going to make them harder than they are now, or easier, or about the same. Is really just my thought process, but not that it matters that much. I'm sure they're testing it. So
we got some info about belts here too. Nothing changed, right? We're losing belts. Yeah.
And it's a fall down.
And those slots, those slots will be reallocated. Not all of them, but most of them to rings in particular, and then spread out over the rest of your armory. The Yokotaro interview, I thought I was kind of not looking forward to that. I do like Yokotaro, but I was he's such an odd duck to interview. But there were some really nifty and I think some funny pieces in here. So first off, he wouldn't answer any story questions. None. he just thought, like, if the Warrior of Light had lost the final battle, that the characters would have all went on a journey together. He doesn't think about it because the hero is supposed to beat the final boss. He loves the questions, though, but he's not going to answer any of them. Wouldn't answer any of them. He also he also was saying that he's just doing things for the money. It was
I like he's being honest.
way too funny. Way too funny. He's just, I'm just doing things for the money. Just doing things for the money.
Will the story continue? If we get the money and we can work at a bar, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. Why not? He did answer, though, why the instant death ring in the Red Girl battle at Tower of Paradigm's Breach. Why the hell was that put there? Apparently some people not happy with that one. The answer was that they thought the fight would be too easy if you could move through the center of the area. Yokotaro says he's upset that they rejected his original idea of having the entire raid wipe if the player got hit by a red orb.
That would have been awesome.
Please put that in the game.
Yes.
I'll queue up for that just to see
Savage Alliance mode. Let's go. Let's do it.
This was also where Yoshi P, I think, said something he didn't mean to say and had to backtrack a little bit because
he got debated.
Yokotaro said that he applied to be a scenario writer for Final Fantasy XVI. And Yoshida had to say, like, why did you apply for that? We're done with the scenario for 16 and we're finishing up English voice acting. To which then he came back and said, oh, by the way, we probably won't have much to say at Tokyo Game Show on 16. I've probably already said too much. We're just trying to get it into a playable state by Tokyo Game Show. So if you were expecting info on 16 at Tokyo Game Show, you're going to be disappointed. It's probably not going to be there. And on that topic, it's because Yoshi P does not like drip-fed news. He's like, I don't like to do it the American style. I'm paraphrasing.
Or Square Enix. Square Enix
yeah.
style per history. You know, how long between Final Fantasy VII Remake announcement and finally the game coming out? I mean, Jiminy Christmas.
What else? Oh, the new soundtrack Blu-ray. When they went through merchandise, we saw the Minion Tark. You don't? Yeah. Oh, you don't like Lena the Bunny Lady, huh?
No, I'm just congrats on your Minion.
Oh, you're not gonna buy him?
No, I'm not gonna buy this.
It's only
I love the music.
Like $50 or so.
Jesus.
I know, right? It's ridiculous. I mean,
I'm not buying $50 for a Minion. That's
it is beautiful to put the discs in a Blu-ray player and just like let them play on the monitor, and the art that scrolls by is. I just wish they were just music discs sometimes, though. Yeah. I'm like, shit, I don't have a Blu-ray audio player in my car. Okay. Before we wrap things up here, we got a few more things to talk about. If you are a Blizzard fan, you probably saw the insider leaks about things happening at Blizzard this past week. Now, we're not going to spend too much time on these at all. These happened pretty much like right while we were doing Snowbound, so I'm sure we didn't talk about it Tuesday at all because it was Tuesday night. So we'll probably talk about them on next week's show. One, sprinkle a huge grain of salt on these leaks. Huge. They were on 4chan, for God's sakes. Okay? So sprinkle. That said, they may not even be legit. In fact, if I had to bet right now, I would say, my kid's life depends on it. I'm going to go with they're not legit. That's where my safe bet would be. That said, there really isn't anything in the leaks that I don't think somebody in a reasonable frame of mind couldn't just ascertain whether they work for Blizzard or not. Why am I bringing it up here? Well, there's like two spots of the leaks that I want to talk. If you're interested in Blizzard and World of Warcraft at all, sure, go read them. But this was kind of the framing is a pissed off employee is just angry and getting pissed at being chewed out, So they vented, and they just dumped a bunch of things. I'm bringing it here because one of the things was, quote, "The elephant in the room is Final Fantasy XIV. To the people in charge, they are acting like this came out of nowhere and didn't even seem to understand why it's drawing players away in the tens of thousands. We have all tried to highlight things it is doing that are clearly appealing to an MMO audience and not, in my opinion, focusing more on mobile game-style retention traps to keep the MAU users and habit-forming personalities logging in. It's not that they don't care. They just seem so pig-headed and digging their heels in with their fingers in their ears, thinking all the problems will go away because WoW is, quote, too big to fail. There will never be real competition and that they'll keep coming back. But they aren't coming back anymore, not in the numbers that they used to." Referencing Final Fantasy XIV there. Then Final Fantasy XIV is brought up again, and you'll have to excuse me. Here we go. The Preach interview was treated as a disaster, and there was talk of a more strongly vetting interviewers for bad actors. Vetting people like me, the interviewers. Not the interviewees, the interviewers. And vetting us for bad actors. And only engaging with a list of questions that Blizzard provides. I will tell you right now, if any company, for MMO Bomb or any other site I ever work on, or if a company approached me with the questions they wanted me to ask them, they could just fuck right off.
Yep.
And instead, you'll get a 5 to 7 minute MMO Thoughts video on MMO Bomb about how they did that, and it's bullshit. That'll be the post instead. Blizzard provides. Some pointed out that it could just be used to create some form of fireside chat akin to the Final Fantasy XIV live letters. But no, that idea fell on deaf ears. And of course, finally, Asmongold streaming Final Fantasy came up. Lastly, the biggest elephant in the room is yo boy Asmongold. The new hires cannot stand him. They have used terms like toxic masculinity and dog whistles to dangerous males, while some of the older crowd still remaining have called him biased or telling it like it is, which has led to friction, to put it mildly. People are told not to talk about him, and the recent Final Fantasy XIV stuff only made it all worse. The idea that an outside element can have such an effect on the product genuinely upsets people. Like Zach is engaging in some malicious act of cyber warfare. Many of us have pointed out the now famous quotes by Naoki Yoshida about understanding that players will drift, and we need to make something worth coming back to because they want to. But some people, for lack of a better word, see our customers, or consumers as they refer to them nowadays, as some kind of antagonistic relationship where the goal is not being an entertainer putting on a show for the crowd, but some kind of game hunter trying to lay a trap, profitable kill. I wish I could blame Activision, but this is the sentiment from more of the younger crowd than the tech boomers, which personal opinion is probably why so many folks like Metzen and Morheim left. Now, there's a lot more in this, and again, grain of salt. Maybe it's a Blizz employee venting. Maybe it's totally fake, but I don't think there's anything in there that you couldn't guess was going on, even the non-Final Fantasy XIV related stuff. What's your take on it, Kronos? What'd you think?
I mean, yeah, it's just kind of stuff I feel like I've already heard a lot of people saying. So it's not like anything crazy. I think it's just, I mean, yeah, like, well, it sounds like WoW needs to get their shit together. I hope they do, because I think I've said this before, but I think the more the more good MMOs we have, the better all the MMOs will be. Like, competition is what we want. We don't want a monopoly. Like, I love 14. And I do think 14 is the best MMO, but I want 14 to also learn from other people too. Like, I don't want 14 to get complacent also. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I don't want that to happen. The weird thing that I think this made me think about is like I've heard a lot of people come from WoW to play Final Fantasy. I've heard Final Fantasy players going to try out WoW, but I've never really I've never really heard of a player, and you tell me if I'm wrong, that's like left Final Fantasy for WoW and never came back. Have you ever heard of like anybody, like a friend or anything that did that?
Yeah,
Like,
but to be fair, I don't really find a lot of that the other way either.
really?
Like, yeah.
I know more. Maybe it's because I'm like coming from 14 that I've heard like stories from people that only play WoW and then they basically quit WoW. Like Zepla, if you're familiar with Zepla, like she doesn't play WoW
I
like, almost at
definitely
all
know
anymore.
Zepla, yeah.
Like she only streams 14.
Yeah.
I think she said she tried Shadowlands, but she doesn't. I don't think she's even playing anymore.
And personally, anecdotal evidence, most of the people I know from WoW who went and played 14 are more of me. They kind of, 14 is my game, but I bounce in and out of WoW.
Right.
And they kind of do the same thing. 14 is I'm always subbed to. WoW, there might be a time where I don't sub for a couple of months. Tark, what'd you think of the whole 14 being referenced there by our Blizzard quote employee?
I feel that there's just so many parallels to what we went through in 14 back in 1.0.
Yeah, 1.0.
Where
a
company
the
leadership
didn't want to learn.
Didn't want to learn.
Best.
Had their horse blinders on, focused on them and themselves, weren't learning from others. Competition brings out better excellence from your own and your competition, because you're always trying to get better and drive more to your side. The fact that they're so blinded by what 14 has been doing over the last 7-8 years is kind of mind-boggling. Like, how do you turn that off? They used to be so good at pulling from other places, and now they just seem to want to ignore what 14 is and what it's become. So I'm not maybe they need a 1.0 to 2.0 kind of leadership change from the top down. Maybe Ian is just and that Preach interview, that wasn't Preach, that was all Ian. He was putting his foot in his mouth.
We
they
covered
gave him
that
the topics
entire
they wanted to
interview
discuss.
on episode of Snowbound, and it was not Preach.
So
you can vet the interviewer all you want. It was not Preach.
Yeah. They told him the topics they wanted to cover. He developed questions for those topics, and Ian just put his foot in his mouth on several occasions.
Yep.
So maybe they just need new leadership, and Ian can work on encounter design, where apparently he excels. But maybe he's just not in the right role. I want Blizz to succeed, because then that will force Square Enix to up their game as well.
Yeah, the last thing I want is a few years down the road, a complacent king sitting on the throne in Final Fantasy XIV start to go downhill and slide. And if they're both good, I'm very happy, because I play both. I'm very happy.
I almost feel like transparency is their issue, honestly. Yeah. Well, the big one.
Absolutely.
Well, and, though it doesn't help Activision's intense focus on things like your monthly average users and your revenue per user and stuff like that. Obviously, you run a business. Those are important metrics to be watching. But when you decide on, intricate game mechanics specifically designed not to be engaging and enjoying and make enjoyable and making you want to come back, but forcing you to come back or forcing you to spend money, or having spending money be the more reasonable option than playing something, then, it doesn't matter how good the developers, the writers, they're not the ones that get to decide the focus, ultimately. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 quick hits, and then I'm going to let everybody chat about something real quick as we head to Love It or Leave It. But since we're running a little late, I'm just going to give you these 2 things real quick. There's a new Bravely Default game coming out. It's for fucking mobile. If you're playing Nier Automata or Automata, whichever you prefer, if you're playing it on Steam and you've been unhappy with that port, you're getting the patch to fix a lot of that stuff finally. Yay. So enjoy. On the nutty side of things, gentlemen, Final Fantasy X character designer Tetsuya Nomura did a little interview where he happened to say that, you know what? The chances of getting a new Final Fantasy X sequel, they're not zero. They're not zero.
Ugh.
He's quoted as saying, if we're to make a Final Fantasy X-3, we somehow already have a synopsis written by Nojima-san. This was with Famitsu. He also said, it's sleeping right now, but the plot itself does exist. The chances of it becoming a thing are probably not zero, but we're not in a phase where we can talk about it unless we have finished producing the Final Fantasy VII remake. It's all hands on deck for the Final Fantasy VII remake.
No, thank you.
What? No, thank you.
I mean, I love more
Was
Final
10-2
Fantasy.
that bad for you? Or do
It
you just
wasn't
not like
bad,
10 at
but
all?
It was kind of meh for me, you know? It was, I mean, I love the combat and the progression system, but the story just didn't grab me like 10 originally did.
Okay, so I'll give you, we're not going to go too far into your opinion there here because we're going to talk about it in a second. I kind of like the idea, but it's one of those things. If you ask me about new or a remake, I'm always going to prefer new, right? Like if you put on the board right now, I'm going to give you 10-3 or I'm going to give you a Final Fantasy VI remake or a Final Fantasy IV remake. I would have to cryingly say, give me 10-3. Not that I don't want to see 4 or 6 HD remakes. That'd be fantastic. Not these pixel things, by the way. I don't mean that. But give me a 4 and a 6 remake, I'm all over it. But I would always prefer new over a remake of something. What's your initial gut reaction, Kronos? You want a 10-3?
No. My initial reaction is no. Like, I kind of agree with Tark on this subject that, like, 10 story to me is, like, actually really powerful and good. And then I think 10-2 story actually ruins 10 if you, like, play it. Like, that's the story to an extent. The combat in 2 is fine. Like, I don't imagine they would make
the combat in 10-2 is amazing.
Game. Yeah, I don't imagine they'd make a bad game. I just don't think that story needs to continue. It's a lot like Kingdom Hearts. Like, I don't want them to just stop. Just stop. Make something else new, please. Just make something else that's new. Throw that script in the garbage, please.
I think Prismine does bring up an interesting point here too. That it has been a while for this one. This is not Final Fantasy X is not Final Fantasy VII, where there's so much extracurricular books and movies and side games and everything that my kids who are in their teens are aware of Final Fantasy VII without the remake having existed yet. It wasn't the remake that brought them to Final Fantasy VII. It was other stuff. Right. That doesn't exist for 10.
Yeah.
Right. Unless they bought the unless they bought the remaster, but go ahead.
I was kind of equating this to Final Fantasy IV and After Years. Like, why did After Years have to come out when it did so far after 4 came out?
Because they were the after years. I mean, they told you right in the title.
Yeah,
it's going to come out after years.
I don't understand why this needs to be a thing when it's been so long after 10 and 10-2 came out. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, you know what I think we need to do? I think we need to settle this once and for all, gentlemen. Let's go to Love It or Leave It. Here we go with Love It or Leave It, the last segment of the show, where I give everybody on the panel one thing Square Enix related. Could be a game, could be an idea, could be a press release, could be a feature in a game, whatever. Square Enix related, and you tell me whether you love it, you want to see more of it, or nope, you're done. Leave it. Kronos, today's topic, the idea of a Final Fantasy X-3.
I think was last week Kingdom Hearts, the Ultimania thing. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I'm gonna put this in the same place as that. Like, throw it in the garbage and light it on fire, please. I'll take the remakes. Or if you want to make something new, pick something else. Not that. Just not that. I love 10. I love 10, but I do not want a 10-3.
Dark?
I'm gonna nice big leave it. I did get my Ultimania for Kingdom Hearts, by the way, so it's pretty sweet. But yeah, you can leave this. I'm with Kronos. Put that something new towards something that's relevant and people actually have been wanting. Unlike you, Burn, I would prefer a remake of 4 or 6, and I would gobble that up well before I'd play a 10-3. So I'm gonna leave it.
I mean, there's no accounting for taste. 2 leave-its, huh? I guess that just leaves me, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we could make it a sweep, I guess. But that's wrong. I love it. I don't care. I don't care. Give me a new Final Fantasy X-3. I don't care. Give me a new one. I love it. If you got a script, I want to hear it. Yeah, okay, fine. You didn't like Final Fantasy II X2 or X-2 a little bit because you didn't want fashion dress simulator. Fine. I don't care. I appreciated something a little different. I like the combat. I found the costumes that worked the best for me, and then I just rolled with it. I didn't care. Give me a 10-3. I love it. Anytime you want to give me a new Final Fantasy title, I love it. I love it. I don't care. I still will cry tears having to pick it over a 4 or 6 remake. I will cry while telling you to give me a new game versus a remake. But I do love it. I think you guys are out of your mind. We'll be back next Thursday, though. 7 p.m. Eastern. Right here.
Ernest, you gonna be here?
twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. Chat, don't go anywhere after the show. We got Ms. Fade Death going live. The stash is back. Are we jumping into Outer Worlds again?
Yes, for one last time, because we've got 2 DLCs to wrap up, and then we're all done.
Then you're all done. You're ready for the sequel.
Exactly. I just wanted one more excuse to wear the stash before we have to put it to bed for a little bit.
That makes sense. I see your cat ears. Did you happen to watch Gaming Gumbo last week or 3 weeks ago when Yod had to wear his cat ears because he was remote and on location?
Yeah, I heard about that, and so I had to go back and watch the VOD and catch it. It's a beautiful thing.
Chat, hang tight. We'll go dark after the show for about 15, 20 seconds while we relabel everything. And then Faye Death will be live with you. We'll be live, of course, next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, with another episode of the Relic Grind. Make sure you tell us in the comments below on YouTube or over on ReadyCheckRadio.com what you love it or leave it. What's your call? Final Fantasy X-3? Yes? No? And we'll see you next Thursday. Until then, Kronos, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, same as always, Twitter. If you want bad Final Fantasy opinions, apparently, and terrible fighting game opinions. I've been streaming a little bit too, so twitch.tv/RVA Chronos is my Twitch. So I, maybe like once a week or something, might see a stream. It's not really consistent, so, but come hang out if you want.
Nice. Tark?
You can find me at Twitch at Tarkoth Gaming, where I will tell you that HD remakes are preferable over a 10-3. Also here on Twitch, Tarkoth Gaming, playing Final Fantasy. You can also find me here at Ready Check Radio on Saturday and Sunday night. We're playing Near Replicant. We're on our path to ending E.
Hold on. I wasn't ready for you to toss it back to me. I was unfollowing you on Twitch.
Dang.
Wow.
I'm Mike Bird. You can follow me personally right there, Magic Man 1. But more importantly, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO on Twitter. And we'll tweet. And you can know every time we go live with a podcast or one of our volunteer streamers, who I love very much, goes live with a game. You can come hang out. Stay safe. We'll see you on the server.